And good afternoon mga katribu. Welcome to another episode of Usapang Business. I am Komfie Manalo and I will be your host for today. At syempre mga katribu, dahil ngayon ay International Women's Month, ang bisita natin ngayon ay isang movers in the technology space and digital technology space sa Pilipinas na isa ring babae. She is no other than Miss Natasha Bautista, the 917 Ventures Head of Growth and Programs, to talk about Women in Tech for International Women's Day. And to give you a brief background, 917 Ventures was founded in 2019 and has piloted companies under the portfolio, including Gcash, Consulta MD, Adventure, Deepsea, Adaspark, Health Now, Rabbit, Rush, FunSpace, M360, Inquiro, and CodeGo. Wow, hindi ka busy Miss Natasha. As the largest venture building in the Philippines, 917 Ventures is not just investing in promising companies. It helps create, build, and grow companies by providing them resources and support so these companies can maximize their impact and elevate the lives of Filipinos. Of course, we've always been talking about financial inclusion. So, through 917 Ventures, they are aiming to promote businesses that encourages or promote financial inclusion. Its main mission, of course, is to solve the pain points of Filipino consumers and businesses by building digital solutions and accelerating new business ideas. It acts like a startup factory and has teams, frameworks, infrastructures, and strategies already in place, proven, tested, and backed by Globe, Ayala, and other partner networks to accelerate the growth of the ventures. And to give you a brief background naman kay Miss Natasha Bautista, she is Miss Natasha Dawn Bautista. She is the head of growth and programs at 917 Ventures and works with the ventures builders, many startups and portfolio companies by providing them guidance and resources so they can thrive in the ever-growing digital ecosystem in the Philippines. After working as a model, in the Philippines and Malaysia, this talk about beauty and brain, Miss Natasha made her mark in the tech industry by being the first employee of Grab Philippines and bringing the service to the country. She also headed the Grab car division before moving on to co-found QBO and becoming the operations head of the country's first innovation hub and nonprofit foundation that supports startups. A management graduate from the Ateneo de Manila University, Natasha has been helping existing startups and new ventures for almost 10 years and has the passion for nation building and development fuels her drive. So, Miss Natasha, good morning. Good afternoon, sorry. Good
Afternoon.
afternoon,
Habang
sorry, pasensya na kasi I also co-host our morning show dito sa Daily Tribune. So, sanay ako good
okay.
morning sorry. So, I
Morning,
thought I was
morning
gising na
in
pa rin.
another country.
Yeah, good morning. And how are you, Miss Natasha?
I'm very good. How are you?
Okay, the usual day. Busy. Pero but it's a good busy. Anyways,
Yeah,
Miss Natasha, simulan na natin yung tanong natin, no? So, discussion natin.
sure.
Yeah, can you tell us a little about background? So, I've already given you the background kanina ng about 917 Ventures and of course about you. Can you tell us more about the background and how you got into the tech industry and what led you to jump from modeling to technology? Hindi lang technology, digital technology pa.
Digital technology.
Yeah.
Wow, that's actually a very long story, but I'll try to shorten it as much as I can and be direct to the point. But I have been in the startup industry for over a decade already. Siguro I'll start off with my very first experience in the tech industry, which is with Grab. So
Mm-hmm.
I was modeling in Malaysia and Singapore. This was back in 2011, 2011. And medyo nabore ako while I was working there, and I found myself interning in this office called My Taxi, which is actually what is now known as Grab.
Mm-hmm.
So I was their very first intern, and then I decided to go back to Philippines. And then when I went back to the Philippines, the team of My Taxi Malaysia decided that let's explore also launching in Philippines because we do have the same safety problems, logistics
Mm-hmm.
problems, commuting problems
Yeah.
in Philippines and also in Malaysia. So we did launch Grab here. I was employee number one of Grab. I was stayed there for the next 3 years. Eventually headed entire operation. So Grab Car, I was the head of Grab Car as my last role. So I experienced being in the startup industry as a startup founder myself, building a startup from the ground up. And then I moved over to the other side of the coin, the other side, which is yung as sa Kubo, which is spelled as QBO. Kubo is the National Innovation Hub in the Philippines, and what Kubo does is we provide resources, mentorship, incubation, network access to startup founders. So I joined that organization, the Innovation Hub, and I was their operations head. I was there for 4 years. And now I'm with 917 Ventures. I had growth and programs. So from being the startup founder, building a startup, to providing resources to other startups, and now really just really exploring being a coach instead of a player this time. So I had the growth and programs at 917 Ventures. What I basically do is I provide support for the companies that we build in 917 Ventures. So yeah, it's a pretty long story, very interesting, but I would say that very well rounded in terms of my
Mhm.
knowledge in the startup industry.
Yeah, I would say really interesting and very very long journey. And y- you ano mahirap ka palang ma-bored no if you got bored you start a new company and you launch
Um,
you are one of the founders of Grab Philippines, which was my taxi then, and then of course as employee number one you were instrumental in expanding my Grab here in the Philippines. And of course, you were a graduate of management, and then
yeah,
your first internship was in a fintech technology, fintech company. Na at that time, wala pang fintech noon, 2011. Hindi pa
yes.
napag-usapan yung fintech. But of course, technology was already, digital technology was emerging at that time. So, how did you, ano, how did your training in school as a management graduate in Ateneo de Manila and your experience working in technology company allowed you to grow and become an expert, so to speak, in the fintech space, particularly in providing. Actually, that's what you do now with 917 Ventures. You provide opportunities for startups to upscale their operations through, of course, funding.
Sure. Sir Comfy, actually,
Coffee lang,
to
no,
your
don't call me sir. I'm not yet knighted.
Comfy, Comfy. Actually, to your point on being bored, no, I don't think that I get bored easily. It's more of I feel like if I've already fulfilled my mission in that
Mm,
company, in that project, then I move on to the next. So parang and to your question about like my training, not just in Ateneo, but I guess my childhood also with how my mom, so she's a single mom of 5 kids, raised
mm,
me, which is really to create impact, to help other people, to help our country. And I feel like I was able to bring that over to every work that I do. So with Grab, when I finished Grab, towards the end of my 3 years in Grab, I realized that hey, I already built a team. I was at that time I we had built Grab Taxi, Grab Car, Grab Express. So I also already built a team. We launched in like 6, 7 different cities. And I realized that okay, I can leave the team already. So next naman tayo. Ano kaya yung next? And I was thinking like what is one of the biggest problems in Philippines, which is like kulang ng support ang mga startups natin. So
mm,
isip ko, okay, let's join an organization that provides that support, no? Which
mm,
means looking for funding, looking for partners. So we partnered with DTI, DOST, and really helped our startups. I could say that we assisted over 500 startups in my span of 4 years in Kubo. And then at the end of those 4 years, fourth year also with Kubo, I realized, okay, what's next? What's next to me, I thought was really being more, I guess with Kubo kasi yung experience ko sa Kubo is very wide yung support na binibigay namin sa startups, no? Parang wide in a sense na we would go to different cities. We had gone to like over 20 cities all over Philippines would give different types of support, different levels of support also. So this time around, I wanted to go deep in terms
Mm-hmm.
of the support that we would provide to the future companies, and that's why I'm here with 917 Ventures. So yeah, I would say that it's really like what one of the things that I was able to carry over, and not just carry over but really develop in every single stage of my work experience, was really the providing support, helping other people, creating a, as cheesy as it sounds, creating a better
Yeah.
tomorrow for our future kids, for the future generation. So yeah.
Yeah, one thing I like about the new generations of CEOs or the millennials, and is that when they say that they want to change the world, they really mean it. It's just that
Oh
it's
yes.
just as easy as it is, they really mean it. So that's what I admire from this generation. So you mentioned that one of the things that inspired you or that influenced you to going to this space is because you've noticed that the startups in the Philippines are not getting enough funding access and government support, and which is true even now. And
Yes.
that of course 917 Ventures is providing that financing facilities for the startups, and there are other local and domestic and foreign funders or venture capitalists who are into that space as well. And over the last 2 years, I think, or 3 years, the Philippines has been getting the biggest slice in fundings from venture capitalists, particularly in 2021. In fact, the Philippines got from the $3.3 billion that were invested by venture capitalists in startups in the ASEAN region, more than 1.3 billion of that went to the Philippines. So the Philippines is really the darling for these funders, but they are focused in innovative or digital technology startups. So, are you for 917 Ventures? Are you getting are you feeling the competition from this um, from these foreign funders, or is it complementing what you're doing, or is it the need for funding is too great that there's room for more players? Or and as a
Exactly.
follow-up question is, what kind of startup companies or does 917 Ventures focus on? Is it
Sure.
fintech only, or any startups?
So exactly what you mentioned towards the latter part, which is there's so much that we need. Dami pa natin kailangan sa
Mm-hmm.
Pilipinas. Ang dami pa, malaki yung fund na kailangan natin to support our startups, no? So I would say that we don't really see other investors as competitors. Um, Let me park that thought first and explain a little bit about 917 Ventures and what we do. So, 917 Ventures, hindi kami venture capital. So, that
Mm-hmm.
means we don't give capital or we don't fund external
Mm-hmm.
startups. We're a venture builder. So, what a venture builder is we build ventures from the ground up. Think of us as a startup factory. We create and we keep creating all these companies. We come up
Oh,
with the
okay.
ideas, we
Mm-hmm.
build them, we test and learn, we validate, and then we spin them off into companies. And in fact, we're home to to some of the companies that we all know and love, like Gcash and
Yeah.
Consulta MD. We also have other portfolio companies like Rush. We also have Adventure and CodeGo. So we actually have a total of 12 companies under our portfolio right now.
Mm-hmm.
Even that, no, we do welcome investors. We have laki ng need natin sa Pilipinas to support each other out. The bigger the better, I would
Mm-hmm.
say. And it's going to be great for the ecosystem if we
Mm-hmm.
have more investors and more startups being invested in the Philippines. And now to answer your second question, which is what types of companies or our focus areas. So we actually have identified 8 focus areas. This is yung mga focus areas or industries na magaling na kami and may presence na kami. Kunwari, fintech, so financial technology because we have GCash.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but also mga areas na feeling namin hyper-growth industries siya and something na kailangan talaga ng Pilipinas. So, these 8 focus industries are, one is fintech, we also have media and entertainment. Alam naman
Yeah.
nating importante yan sa Pilipinas. We also have e-commerce and loyalty, a very, very big industry. Digital health, and in fact, Consult the
Consult to
MD,
MDS.
our
Yeah.
app is in this space. We also have education.
Mm-hmm.
Something close and dear to my heart. We also have ad tech and data. And the two remaining focus areas, also something that I want to highlight is our SME enablement solutions or B2B SaaS. Kasi alam naman natin na 99.5% of the companies in Philippines are SMEs,
Yes.
and contributes greatly to our economy. And the last is something that we just started getting into, and something very, very exciting is on climate technology.
Mm-hmm.
So these last two are something that we can expect a lot more of, a lot more startups, a lot more companies that we will build under these two focus industries.
So, well, first, thank you for correcting me. So now I understand that 917 Ventures is not a VC, but it's a venture builder. So you build companies within your
Yeah,
own ecosystem. And I'm very much interested in e-commerce and the
right.
education. So how do you plan to go about that? What's the direction there?
Sure. So e-commerce, there are plenty of ways to go around e-commerce. One of the things that, or one of our portfolio companies under e-commerce, is called Rush. So Rush is our loyalty solutions, our e-commerce for other enterprises. It's B2B, so business to business, which means that yung clients namin are other restaurants, other enterprises, other SMEs. And what we give them is, or what we provide to them would be solutions that will help them with their digitalization efforts. More specifically, for Rush, is we create websites
Mm-hmm.
for these brands, because so they don't have to create their own website, they don't have to
Yeah.
know anything about coding. We can provide that already for them. So that's for e-commerce. And then for education, again, something very close to my heart. I come from a family of teachers. So with education naman, we have two portfolio companies, specifically Adventure, which is our one-on-one online tutorials for kids, kinder to grade 10. So we connect them with Filipina tutors and Filipino tutors online, to help parents with managing their kids' education. And we also have another portfolio company called CodeGo. It's
Mm-hmm.
spelled as Kodego, so parang Codigo pero
Codigo.
CodeGo.
Yeah.
And this is also very exciting. This is a study now, pay later
Mm-hmm.
scheme, so that fresh graduates, career shifters, or just anyone can join our tech boot camp. It's usually like around 12 plus weeks of tech boot camp where we teach you to code. And at the end of the program, you don't have to pay for your tuition just yet. We connect them already with companies that will hire them.
Mm-hmm.
So we only start charging when they actually make money already, or when they're already making salary. And this is our solution to help not just the education sector, or not just to educate our fellow Filipinos, but also to bridge the gap when it comes to like the tech gap, because there's still so much to do, so a lot to do to fill the gap of the IT gap in the Philippines.
Mm-hmm. Thank you for that. And on a personal note, what inspired you to take on a role as head of growth and programs at 917 Ventures? But before you answer that question, we will take a short break. We'll be right
All
back.
right.
Iba ng panahon, ang dami ng bago ngayon. Pati ang mundo pati sa mga parties may online pa at app. You can buy it with your fingers. Build mode, remittance and more. Online shopping, you can buy it all. Di magpadala, you can buy it all. Anumang pera transaction, you can buy it all.
Sabayan ang pagbabago ng mundo for all your pera transactions, all new Bayan.
Fiber is the free and secure way to connect with friends and family anywhere. Send messages and make phone and video calls for free. Download Viber now.
With Globe, our steps can lead us to millions of doors opening, millions of paths unfolding, and millions of reasons to keep going. Now's the time to be with a network that gets better every day for you.
And we're back, and you're still watching Usapang Business. And still with us is Miss Natasha Bautista, the head of programs and growth at 917 Ventures. So, Miss Bautista, before we took a break, we left a question hanging. So the question, I will repeat the question. What inspired you to take on a role as head of growth and programs at 917 Ventures?
Sure. Siguro it's a few things. The first one was feeling ko okay na tapos na yung mission ko, yung purpose ko sa Kubo, which was where I was working for 4 years. And so I wanted more growth. I wanted to challenge myself, and I was thinking, san kaya tayo, san kaya ako pwede makakuha ng mas challenging na career. And this opportunity presented itself to me. And so the reason also why this was attractive to me is because ang aligned ng mission ng 917 Ventures sa mission ko. The mission of 917 Ventures is to uplift the lives of Filipinos. And it does so by creating companies that creates impact.
Mm-hmm.
Can you imagine a world or a Philippines na walang GCash, di ba?
Mm-hmm.
Parang medyo hindi ko ma-imagine yun. Almost every day ko ginagamit ang GCash. And that's what we want to do. We want to we want to keep building companies that Filipinos need. Ang dami-dami nating problema sa Pilipinas, di ba? And I want to be able to create solutions for the many problems of Filipinos, and that's why I joined this company. Very aligned yung vision mission talaga ng 917 Ventures sa vision mission ko as a person din. So yan ang short and sweet answer ko.
Actually, tama ka, no? Yung, now, you cannot go away with, you cannot survive a day na wala kang e-wallet, unlike before the pandemic. Actually, to be honest, I was there when the GCash e-wallet was launched in Makati. And then ang test case pang pinakita ron I think ice cream vendor, and then you can transact or you can
Yes.
buy an ice cream worth for say 20
Yes.
pesos and using your GCash. I was a little bit skeptical. Then why would you use your an e-wallet to pay for such a small transaction? And then the
Mm-mm.
pandemic came, and then everybody's using or paying and through the e-wallet, and that was good because kung wala tayong e-wallet at that time, kung wala tayong logistics then at that time, hindi sana mas naapektuhan sana ng sa economy natin. Bakit? Because of the infrastructure were there. There's e-wallet, there's the logistics services. So yung mga kahit mo sa bahay yung mga lang na wala ng trabaho, they were able to have their own businesses at home, 'di ba? Yung mga nauso noon, 'di ba? Yung mga ubi pandesal, and then some of them actually became big entrepreneurs right now, 'di ba? Hindi na lang sila sa bahay lang ngayon, nag-upskill na rin sila. So that's it really helped the economy. Yung
Exactly.
services like that. So and we have to give it to these technologies that allowed us to stay afloat during
Mhm.
the dark years of the pandemic and during the very strict lockdown. And Miss Natasha, what has been your experience work dahil nga ngayon, dahil International Women's Day. So let's talk about the women's role in promoting digital technology. So what has been your experience working with women-led startups and promoting gender equality in the tech industry?
Sure. Actually, it's so siguro I'll start off with a bit of context. Context kasi is as I
And
mentioned
sorry,
earlier.
excuse me if I have to
Um,
interrupt you. Follow-up question na rin para dire-diretso na tayo. How many women-led startups are there in 917 Ventures right now?
okay, sige. I'll answer that already now. Which is more than half of our portfolio companies are women led. So 7 out of 12, or I'd say 58, 60%. Are women led, and it's a great ratio. No, you don't really see that as much in other companies, and especially in other tech companies.
Mhm.
And so I'm quite happy and proud of the culture that we promote here in 917 Ventures. But to answer your first question, siguro context muna. I was raised, which is what I mentioned earlier. I was raised by a single mom. I have three other sisters, so four kaming babae out of five kids. So I grew up with already a strong with as an image of women as strong.
Mhm.
I also, as I mentioned earlier, I come from a family of educators, so I really saw women really out there, and doing their part in this world, in this country. So that's a bit of context. But coming into the tech industry, I can really see, the difference. I mean, just look at any panel. If you go to a tech
Yeah.
conference, puro lalaki.
Yeah.
Pati yung moderator lalaki, yung host lalaki. So then I started seeing all these like very minute, I think at that time, different differences that I didn't see growing up. And I would also experience a few challenges with having biases for women, biases na yung the typical,
Mhm.
I have been called bossy, pero my male counterparts would be called decisive,
Mhm.
which is exactly, I feel like it was exactly the same for me. Or women would be called emotional when I would see it as empathic. So there were challenges, but cut to also here working in 917 Ventures, I think we've created an environment that women are equal, that we do have a voice. We have a culture that is very collaborative, and flat, a very flat organization. And because of that, I do see that women and men, no matter what gender, we're more encouraged to speak up. And I think that's also how it contributes to us creating solutions that create impact. It's because people who or anyone in the company can speak up. And you see this, no? Parang I think we create companies like Adventure, which is our one-on-one online tutorial services that have already onboarded thousands of shooters, most of them women, and that helps. So parang it's women helping other
Mm-hmm.
women,
Mm-hmm.
um, and yeah, yung mga shooters yan over 80% are women, um, and we've also onboarded parents in the platform. So I would say that because we have created a safe collaborative environment no matter what gender, it helps us do our job, which is to create impact for other people, also to create impact and to focus on even the underserved and underrepresented people in our country.
Yeah, tama ka, no? Sa iyong mga, and it's very interesting to note that more than half of 917 Ventures portfolios are women-led. And yun, yun nga, tama ka, this technology or this industry that you're in is still male-dominated. In fact, one of the major challenges of women in this space is there are lack of, because it is male-dominated. There's a lack in uh, tawag nito, people to idolize, the women leaders in this industry. So
Tama.
wala, kaunti yung pwedeng yung pag i-emulate ng mga women na kapwa
Mhm.
na babae sa industriya nito eh. So, and I hope this changes, no. So dahil hindi naman lahat ng hindi naman this technology or this space or industry should not be dominated by one gender only. And so, yeah. So, Miss Natasha, can you share with us any success stories from women-led startups that 917 Ventures had supported?
Sure. So I mentioned already about adventure. Maybe some, some numbers lang, no. Adventure again is our one-on-one online tutorials. It was actually an idea by teacher Sarah, who's still in the company. And teacher Sarah, she experienced this problem herself, and because we gave her an environment where she can build solutions to her own problems, she was able to build this company called Adventure, and is also now led by Alonto, venture builder, and Ina Hervasio, which is the entrepreneur in residence. All women, by the way. And this platform is now helping more than 10,000. So we already have over 10,000 parents in the platform, and not just helping parents who are most likely women, most likely moms that need help with teaching their children, especially on subjects that they're not very good at, maybe math, maybe science, Filipino, English, whatever it is. But it doesn't just provide support to women parents, or sorry, to moms, but it also creates jobs.
Mhm.
And this is again something that I mentioned earlier, which is we already have onboarded over 1,000 tutors, creating livelihood for more than 1,000 tutors, and more than 80% of them are women.
Mhm.
Another portfolio company that we have is CodeGo. So I did mention that CodeGo is our study now, pay later, and we have students that are mga students that are Lala Move drivers before, tapos ngayon coder na. We also have some graduates, very interesting graduates na graduates from CodeGo na college dropout, but now software engineer. So imagine that impact, no? And
Mhm.
imagine if we can create more adventures, more code goes, and even more Gcash that empowers other people, that empowers businesses also. Imagine the impact that we can create in the Philippines, not just for women, but every Filipino, no matter what gender.
So aside from the challenges that we've mentioned, the lacking women leaders in this male-dominated industry, and the other points that you've mentioned earlier. So what are the other challenges that women face in the fintech section, and how do you suggest we move forward to overcome these challenges?
Sure. So let me summarize it into three main points, which I've briefly discussed earlier. But in terms of the challenges, I'll answer this according to my own personal experience. So I guess the first one, which I mentioned earlier, also is on the biases.
Mm-hmm.
I have been called bossy. My male counterparts would be called decisive. I would hear other people call other women as emotional when I just see it as empathic. So these biases are definitely a challenge because it doesn't help us with our work because we have to always walk on eggshells. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
kailangan talaga maging sensitive. Kailangan mo isipin ano ba yung iniisip ng iba sa akin. So parang mahirap talaga siya sa ating mga babae kasi um, we have to work double, triple,
Isn't
three
that both
times, 10
sad
times
and
harder
unfair?
than this. Um, and then second, I guess, is yung just not having a seat in the table, not being able to, yun nga, parang yung kulang tayo ng women representation
Yeah.
sa mga panels, parang puro lalaki, in meeting rooms, mostly lalaki, and because we see that, we think that that's normal.
Mm-hmm.
Kasi yun yung nakikita natin. And I feel like these two things, two challenges that I mentioned, could be addressed if we just had more female representation overall. We don't, like, ako, parang wala ako masyadong female mentors. When I started in 917 Ventures, I was the only female management commit in the management committee. I was the only female leader there, and now we're able to raise it but we have four female leaders now. But yon, parang I guess it's also the third challenge, which is not having female representation. And you see a lot of women in accounting and marketing, but you barely see a lot of women at the top. Parang umuonti yung mga babae pag pataas ng pataas. And how do we solve that? I think it starts from, I mean, I've done a few programs that I've helped with in Kubo or even in Grab, where we create features specifically for women. So for Grab, for example, we created that if alam nyo may share your ride or
Mm-hmm.
track your ride, feature specifically for women problems. Syempre sa pag nagko-commute ka, may safety issues.
Mm-hmm.
Kaya namin ginawa yung feature na yon. Other things also that I've done in the past would be, I've also helped create a program. It's called Startup Pinay, which provides support and mentorship for women startup founders. But much more than these specific programs, alam mo yun, very specific programs, are much more than just celebrating Women's Month every March,
Mm-hmm.
every year. I think it starts from just in the environment. It starts from the home, it starts from the school, it starts from the office, and just creating a safe environment where women are heard and that women are treated as equals. And I think that is a responsibility for us leaders, leaders like me in the office, that we have created a very collaborative environment, very safe environment where women are heard and women are even encouraged to speak. And I feel like if we are able to do that, then we can do so much more. As I mentioned, no, kapag kulang kasi ng kapag earlier nung sinabi ko na pag kunwari may mga panels tapos puro lalaki, pag nakikita kasi natin, lagi natin iniisip na yun yung
Normal.
normal.
Mm-hmm.
So if we're able to reverse that, I think that can help out a lot in terms of just the mentality of the youth,
Mm-hmm.
of our colleagues, that they're able to that they can do much more than what they're already doing, and just empowering them also to empower other people and just creating an impact.
Yeah, you mentioned that the challenges regarding biases, that you have to walk on an eggshell, that you have to be very careful what you say, how you conduct yourself, that you'll be misconstrued, or you'll be misinterpreted as bossy when you're just being decisive. So isn't that both sad and unfair?
It's definitely yes. It is sad and it's unfair. It's something that a lot of women have and are still going through until now. It's not an ideal situation, and I hope to see a future where we don't have to walk on eggshells, where we don't have to be labeled as bossy or labeled as emotional. And again, like, how do we address that? It starts from creating an environment. It starts from doing our part, like doing my part. What can I do right now at 917 Ventures? I'm not head of HR. I can't come up with women campaigns, women programs, but I can influence other people. I can influence the head of people, but and on top of that, I can also create a culture within my team. And in fact, my team is mostly women. 90% are women. Create a culture where we're heard. We can do much more. We are empowered to do whatever we want as long as we set our minds and hearts and work hard and work smart.
Yeah, and we're with you in that. We want to foster that kind of environment where everybody don't have to do that. You just have to be
Mhm.
yourself. Anyways, so how does 917 Ventures foster a diverse and inclusive culture, particularly for women in tech? But before you answer that question, we will take a short break again. We will be right
Okay.
back.
Every time I'm on the road, I can expect high performance from Phoenix Fuels. Now with Pulse technology, delivers enhanced power and acceleration to make every trip come alive.
Iba ng panahon, ang dami ng bago ngayon. Pati ang mundo natin, well, nagbago na rin. Buti ang bayan, bigger, better na. You can buy it sa centers, pati sa mga partners. May online pa at app. You can buy it with your fingers. Still don't remittance and more. Online shopping, you can buy it all. Di magpadala, you can buy it all. Anumang pera transaction, you can buy it all.
Sabayan ang pagbabago ng mundo for all your pera transactions, all new Bayan.
Every time I'm on the road, I can expect high performance from Phoenix Fuels. Now with Pulse technology, delivers enhanced power and acceleration to make every trip come alive.
millions of doors opening, millions of paths unfolding, and millions of reasons to keep going. Now's the time to be with a network that gets better every day for you.
And we're back, and you're still watching Usapang Business. And still with us is Miss Natasha Bautista, the head of programs and growth at 917 Ventures. Miss Natasha, before we took a break, we left a question hanging for you. So here goes. How does 917 Ventures foster a diverse and inclusive culture, particularly for women in the technology space?
Okay. So I've been mentioning now about how we have created an environment na very safe ang space, very collaborative. So to be more specific, mga small things that really create an impact would be pag may meetings kami, it's usually not one person that's leading the meetings. We have this habit of asking people, what do you think? What is your opinion? We usually also ask everyone in the room about their opinion. We even have ideation sessions. Again, 917 Ventures, we're a venture builder, so we constantly, almost every day, look for ideas, look for problems that we can solve. We're a venture builder, so we therefore build ventures, we build companies. In fact, every few days, every other week, we have an ideation session, and everyone is empowered to talk. Everyone is actually encouraged to come up with ideas, to pitch their problems, pitch solutions to these problems. So these small things that are habits now to us have created this collaborative environment where anyone can speak, and anyone can talk about and suggest things to improve on, and their other ideas. Second is, again, we're very proud that we have women. More than half of our CEOs of our portfolio companies are women. No? So being more mindful of women representation really helps. Um, Ako then, when I curate programs, kasi part of my job is I come up with all these trainings, or I come up with conferences or talks. And so I just make sure that I'm more mindful na kapag may panel ako, 'di ba, dalawa yung lalaki, dalawa yung babae, apat. And that's true also when it comes to hiring. And although we don't have a specific like target na number of women that we should hire, it's not just about gender, but it's also just overall hiring more diverse people, because we understand that having a diverse team makes a team stronger, especially if you have many different types of personalities, of strengths. All those strengths combined will be able to create a bigger, stronger team. No. Um, Third, I would say, would be developing our people. Developing our people is something that is very close to our heart at 917 Ventures, that we are able to empower them, because if we're able to empower them and they empower other people, that creates a multiplier effect.
Mhm.
So in a 917 Ventures, we invest heavily on our people, which means having our training programs. Just recently, we concluded an acceleration program by 500 Global. So 500 Global is the world's leading VC firm that they've already funded, and part of their portfolio are sila Grab, Twilio, Bukalapak, all these like unicorn companies, no. So they're quite known, and we got them to we partnered with them so that they can create a training session for for our leaders. So we had an acceleration program for our leaders. So really developing our people, investing in our people to be the next generation CEOs, to be the next leaders of the country. And last but not the least, and I cannot emphasize this enough, is that true to our DNA, which is building companies, is we are able to help women by developing companies that address their problems, and also that create jobs for women. And that's
Mm.
why we have Adventure, we have Code Go, we have all of these other companies lined up. Very excited to launch some of them this year, and that's something that we do not just for 917 Ventures, not just for Globe, because we are under the Globe Telecom group, but for the Philippines.
Yeah, but of course, it plays smart to create or to build a diverse team because your pool of talent are expanded.
Yes.
And but we are running out of time. Unfortunately, we have plenty more questions. Sana, maraming pang tanong. Kaya lang, we are running out of time and we have to end this session. So, one last final question. In your opinion, Miss Sarah, what needs to be done to encourage more women to pursue career in technology and entrepreneurship, particularly digital technology?
I think it starts from, again, the home. I hope that we find a way to inspire more like children, more youth as early as high school and college. I think, and how do we do that? No, how do we inspire more of the youth, and to spark interest as early as ano pa lang sila, 13 or even younger, right? And I think my answer to that is more female representation. Um, Platforms like this that talk about women, and thank you so much for this opportunity to talk about my journey, about 917 Ventures and what we do, and the simple things that we do to help with women empowerment and gender equality. But yeah, like, I think we need to talk about, and we need to have women be represented more. So um, by talking about them more, celebrating their success. In fact, like, we in some of our ventures and some of our companies, we have a few like videos lined up and awareness campaigns lined up to celebrate more startup founders that are women, and their journey. So I hope that by talking about women more and having women be more out there, we're able to influence and encourage the youth to take up STEM, to take up more of, to be more in the tech industry, because it really is male dominated now. But we are doing our best. I feel like we are getting there. We're going towards the right direction, but there's still so much that we can do.
And thank you so much, Miss Natasha Bautista. Thank you so much for
Thank you.
honoring our show today for with your presence. And hope to see more of you. Hope to see you more of your visions and your insights about, of course, women empowerment and 917 Ventures. We want to learn more what 917 Ventures are doing for the betterment and for the improvement of the nation to reach our goal to digitalize the entire country. So, to our katribu, let us all do our share to create an environment and a culture where everybody are given an opportunity to explore, to grow, regardless of their gender. And for 917 Ventures, we wish you all the luck. And we will be with you. We will be rooting for you for your success. You're doing a good job. We hope we can expand more, and we want to know more. We want to see your focus areas, particularly the last focus area that you mentioned about the climate technology. We want to know more about that, and we want to all of those focus areas to be successful. So again, Ms. Natasha, thank you very much.
Thank you so much for having me. Really enjoyed our conversation.
Yeah, and same here. And with that, I am Komfie Manalo. And thank you very much for watching us. Stay tuned again next week for Usapang Business. And this is Komfie Manalo. Thank you very much.